And now, to the Manager's Corner with Earl Weaver.
Hi, everybody. This is Earl Weaver with Manager's Corner.
The loss of Don Stanhouse.
Well, Don Stanhouse was an asshole. Like to ruin my health smoking cigarettes, and thank God we got Timmy Stoddard coming in out the bullpen right now, sticking a bat up their ass.
And when they see Stanley coming, they give him the road. He was my man, but he done me wrong.
Aloha, what's good? And howdy, players and player haters. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Baseball Manager's Corner. I am your host, and you can find my work on Twitter at CrashDavis108. I write for Last Word on Sports, and I will be referencing some articles I've recently been dropping over there. But yeah, Twitter is the best place to find everything, including this podcast. So it's been a minute since my pilot episode, and I am bound and determined to roll some new drops out sooner rather than later, as it has been. But the first few weeks of the baseball season, it's like small sample size city, so it's a lot of overreaction time, and I figured, let it accumulate a little bit and get some there's a lot to talk about now and get some stuff to talk about, and also I do another YouTube channel that's based on astrology, and it's a very busy season in astrology, so I had to get some videos out for that channel, and now I'm gonna focus my energy on baseball during a crazy transit planet-wise. We got Mercury retrograde for the next few weeks, and we're also in the middle of an eclipse cycle. So I'll just throw that out there. It's a little crazy time. I won't get too heavy with the astrology, but I will say, yeah, I definitely use astrology in fantasy baseball. Or I use it in everything, so yeah. But yeah, it's just part of analysis. It's just another metric to live your life based on looking too closely at data. So speaking of looking too closely at data, this is actually not looking closely enough at data episode. This is the bold predictions sort of, at the beginning of the season, not preseason. So it's, boldish, and I try to go a little crazy with a few of these, just to, that's kind of how I roll anyway, hot take style. But also these guys could be like relatively available on everybody's waiver wire, so I like to concentrate on actionable data. And here come the mowers and the blowers. So I'm gonna transition into another. So the first guy that I will get into on this bold predictions list, and I'm kind of doing them in order of wild hot take-ishness, crescendoing, going more wild. So this is the most conservative, I guess. And it's concerning Spencer Steer, the infielder for the Cincinnati Reds. And he actually gave me a little scare with this bold prediction, because he had a knee injury, and then he's come back from it, a little rusty, but it seems like he's getting his feet under him again. But he's a guy who, is kind of a bat-only prospect, so he might not have been on even MLB's prospect list, but he's the number 5 in the Cincinnati Red system, in a very talented Cincinnati Red system. And he made Fangraphs top 50. I think he came in like number 47 there. So this is a guy who definitely has a bat that can rate very highly as scouts go, because they like you to have a glove too. And I think he's actually improved in that regard as well. But yeah, as far as what's under the hood with Spencer Steer, the first thing that jumps out to me is the 80 percentile speed, and that's part of this bold prediction. So I think Spencer Steer has the upside to go 290, bat 290, hit 30 bombs, and steal at least 10 bases. He's already got one under his belt. That was the kind of surprising element when I was looking at his metrics. If they let him run, he could, yeah, definitely get double-digit steals, which is always a plus. And this guy certainly has 30 home run power. It's all about, always with the health and the consistent playing time. It looks like the consistent playing time is going to be a problem. But let's check out what StatCast has to say about it. He's got a max EV in the 78th percentile. That ain't too bad. He's got a chase rate in the 93rd percentile. So Homeboy has a really good eye at the plate. He doesn't strike out too much, and he takes his walks. So he's going to be selective on pitches, and of course he plays in one of the best hitting parks in baseball, if not the best, Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. So he can launch easily 25, 30 bombs. But yeah, that's my bold prediction is 290, 30 home runs, and 10 steals for Spencer Steer. He's kind of like, I don't know, I get an Alex Bregman-y kind of feel off this guy. All right, number 2, bold prediction, okay, for this 2023 season. I think Brandon Belt has now moved to the Toronto Blue Jays' beautiful new ballpark for hitters, or beautiful renovated, it's not a new ballpark, but they did some stuff to the walls that make this park really attractive to pretty much any hitter, but especially a lefty hitter who's been spending the majority of their career in the cavernous San Francisco Giants Park. I'm not even sure what they call it these days, but yeah, I think this may be the year that Brandon Belt, as unlikely of a year at what is he, 34, I think. I think this is the year he finally gets over that 30 home run threshold that people have been wish casting him for years. He's got all of the underlying metrics to suggest he should have done a lot better with the power over the years. Hard hit rates off the charts, exit velocities in the elite range, launch angles exactly where you want for a home run hitter. But mostly he's been in the teens, 18, 17 home runs, 14 home runs, and he's had some pretty decent batting averages here and there. But this is a guy who's just never really totally lived up to his ceiling. And he's on, of course, a 1-year deal, which I always like betting on guys on 1-year deals. The Blue Jays have put him in a position to succeed. So this is just one of those, if you believe in the history and you can wish cast a little health on this fella, I believe that Brandon Belt can finally achieve that 30 home run plateau that's always been in his grasp. So that's number 2 on the bold predictions. Now for number 3 on the bold predictions list. This is another dude I wrote up at Last Word on Sports, sleeper breakout candidates. This is the gentleman who used to live in the shadows of Mike Trout and has made his way to Philadelphia, where he is expanding his skill set into some really amazing results. I'm talking about Brandon Marsh. And, I was trying to make all of these actionable for fantasy people in pretty much any league. Like Spencer Steer is still only rostered in 14% of Yahoo, which is definitely going to go up. Marsh, however, when I looked at it today, is at 69%. That's gone up quite a bit. So this is kind of like a last call. His BABIP is way high, yes. His strikeout rate is pretty high, yes. I think he's like one of the league leaders in OPS, though. And if you look at some of the, swing profile situations, which is one of the first things to start to stabilize, and is definitely kind of stabilizing right about now, he's got a great career best swinging strike rate of 8.5%. So that 28.5% or whatever the strikeout rate is going to go down. And then, let's go over to his StatCast page, and it's just like red, which is good on StatCast. He's got great average exit velocities in the 76th percentile. Great, actually 76 x WOBA, 76 x slug, 74 percentile barrel rates. So these are all like very, solid numbers. And then you go down to that sprint speed and see the 91, and that's where you can really unlock some hidden potential with Brandon Marsh, because I think he's only got like 1 or 2 stolen bases so far. Yeah, he's only got 1 stolen base so far, And his success rate previously is pretty decent. He stole 10 bases last year. Was only caught stealing 4 times, which I think that's a pretty decent success rate. I actually don't know. What I do know is it's a new day and a new dawn in baseball, and people be running wild. So Marsh's steals are definitely going to go up. He's got 4 home runs in the year already, and is batting .357. And his contact rates are in the great range or spectrum for a power hitter. He's got about like a 78% contact, but his zone contact is 87%. And that's really good because he's swinging at pitches in the zone. He's not chasing. His outside swings like 25, 26%. So this guy has definitely got his head on straight as far as maximizing his skill set, and it's just a matter with Marsh of again, like playing time and being on the field. He's got great spray power, hits the ball to all fields like a Brandon Belt type. And Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia is an incredible park to hit home runs. So the bold prediction from Marsh is 30 dongs and 20 bags. So he's going to be a 30-20 guy, most def. I don't know where that batting average is going to end up. That's the kind of thing that, I can definitely wish on a 300, but it could end up being 240. I think either way, as long as this guy plays a full season, that 30-20 is definitely achievable, and pick him up while he's still available, if he's still available. Hey now, moving on to the number 4 bold prediction or predictions. This is a 2-for-1 on number 4. That's a lot of numbers to keep track of, but hey, it's baseball. This is 2 closers by the end of the season that will be dominant closers to go into next season that basically no one's heard of, unless you follow baseball as closely as somebody like me. So the first guy just got a call up to the majors where he was dominating in the minors, and he still hasn't given up an earned run in the 7 combined innings pitched between now the minors and the majors. That's Jeremiah Estrada. I wrote my man up for Last Word on Sports as the Chicago Cubs sleeper breakout candidate. He has some really nasty stuff. His four-seamer is particularly beautiful. This pitch gets 3.6 inches of vertical rise, which registers about 27% above average. And that is good for tops in the league, projected over a full season. His slider is also really great. When he got his cup of coffee last year with the Cubs, he threw that about 19% of the time and got a 53% whiff rate. And, these 2 pitches, one's 97, gets up to 99, the slider's in the low 80s. That speed differential is enough to just completely fluster most hitters. So this guy could overtake Fulmer and Boxberger and even Leiter, who's been pretty great, by the end of the season if the Cubs really want to solidify the back end of that bullpen with a guy who looks like he's got a future as the closer. And the number 2 on the number 4 of closers you may have never heard of that will be closers that are not closers yet is Ben Joyce of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. He is, like Estrada, a guy who has elite stuff, throws the hardest probably of anybody in baseball right now. He's been clocked as high as 105 when he was with Tennessee in college, and this is just he's a born reliever. He allegedly has a couple of different sliders, but this 105-mile-an-hour fastball seems to be enough of a headache for him to command because his walk rates have been a little unacceptable, let's just say. So he's in the minor leagues currently trying to harness that incredible horsepower he's got in his arm and throw some BBs in the strike zone. And if he does, man, the back end of the Angels bullpen is a mess. They're currently bouncing around between a couple of guys who could have good stuff, but they just really aren't executing. So Joyce has means and opportunity to stake a claim on that closer's role by the end of the season, and then come into 2024 as one of the top guys you want off the board. So especially in Dynasty and Keeper Leagues, Ben Joyce and Jeremiah Estrada are 2 guys to keep an eye on. And for the grand finale, number 5, to stay alive. Now, this is the one where you just light the box of fireworks and see what happens. No rhyme or reason to this one because my man has not pitched a full season in the majors since like 2019. He is 34 years old. Brandon Belt, to correct myself, just turned 35 on 420. So there you go. And this is what the new 34-year-old I'm talking about. That's number 5 bold prediction is James Paxton of the Boston Red Sox. And I kind of want to pick on the Red Sox again because they like to just play this crazy double speak game in the media with their players. And I got to just use this opportunity to read between the lines because it's kind of fun. So James Paxton will be the most, this is a bold prediction, will be the most productive Red Sox starter of the current starting rotation. And that's after Chris Sale's latest blow up. It's not like I'm feeling great about this one because Paxton may not even be on the Red Sox by the middle of the season, because this is one where you have to look at his contract and there's some kind of wonky things going on with how his career with the Red Sox has played out because of this contract, and why they may be talking about him the way they're talking about him now, which is like maybe he'll come back as a reliever and this and that. So he is in the midst of a 2-year contract that is up after this year. He exercised his player option after the club declined their option. So he's in his walk year. And of course, even if the research says otherwise, I like guys in walk years. Yeah, that's just one of those things where I know if a guy, an athlete especially, is hungry for a paycheck, that is going to incentivize and motivate that player. And if you look at what's going on with Paxton right now, he's in the minor leagues in AAA, and he's been clocked in the high 90s with his fastball. And this is just a great example of, when a club has a certain issue with a player, how they might handle it through the media to sort of put that player on a kind of passive-aggressive blast. I'm thinking of like Tyler O'Neill right now at the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know whose monkey he spanked to get in the boiler with those guys, but they're throwing him under the bus for not running balls out. Anyhow, back to Paxton. So he's been in the minor leagues rehabbing, I think, a hamstring strain. I mean, he's recovered from Tommy John, lat strain. This is when he hasn't pitched in like 4 years. But when he did pitch, he'd give you about 150 innings, 4 or 5 years consistently, with a strikeout per 9 of 11 at least, and the walks in good shape. He's just got a dominating fastball with a couple of good off-speed, and that'll be interesting about Paxton is when he comes back, what kind of pitch mix he'll feature, because you look at the Fangraphs page in particular, and he's got a curveball before his last season where he was throwing a slider. But these classifications can be tricky, so anyway, we'll have to wait and see. He may not even pitch in major leagues this season, but that's how this kind of bold prediction works, because he's available everywhere. So what I'm seeing in between the lines here with the Red Sox is they have a mess in their rotation. They've got like 6 guys who are all kind of underperforming. Nick Pivetta has good stuff. Whitlock, good stuff. Sale has good stuff if he can figure it out. But there's definitely going to be an opening in this rotation for James Paxton if he's throwing 96, 97 with a great, couple of off-speed pitches. And if that's the case, at the very least, if the Red Sox are going to contend, they want him in the rotation. And if they're not going to contend, they want him in the rotation because they want to trade him in mid-season. So what the scuttlebutt has been is, they're going to bring him back as a reliever. So let's walk through this really quickly. His first rehab start with Boston, 3 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs, couple of walks. Next outing went a little longer, through 3 and a third, not that much longer, but he struck out 6, and this is where he was like hitting 97. And then they announced that he's going to be follow an opener in the next game. And this is a disaster. He gives up like 7 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning. And this is how it goes with certain pitchers. They're just like, temperamental, or also they're just not going to be the pitcher at the end of the season that they are in a rehab start. I don't think it's a coincidence that Paxton has this meltdown and subsequent subpar outing after Alex Cora has announced that they're not sure what his role is going to be. And sometimes this can be like some kind of put the player on blast to motivate them, but I think in this case it's sort of to save the club face if they in fact do bring him back as a starter. It makes them look a little less culpable to the starter who has to go, that Paxton would be replacing, because they'll say, well, we tried him as a reliever but just didn't work, et cetera, et cetera. So it's definitely one of those Mercury retrograde situations that I'm betting the contrarian angle, if for no other reason than that. So what you're looking for is health. Did he make it through? What's the velocity? Is he walking guys? Yeah, but he could be experimenting with some pitches. And then, so his last start was yesterday, I think. Didn't go great. Struck out 5 over 4 and a third. 4 earned runs, 5 total runs. And I'm just seeing a guy who's basically biding his time and waiting for, who knows, Mercury retrograde to come out of retrograde. But either way, I have way higher hopes for James Paxton than I think the field of fantasy baseball does. So that's my number 5 or most bold prediction is James Paxton will be the most productive Red Sox starter, whether he's on the Red Sox or not. And that'll wrap it up for this episode of Fantasy Baseball Manager's Corner. And I'll be back soon with some free agent waiver wire pickups and discuss more crazy shit going on in the game. So until then, everybody have a good one, and